Hey there, this is Ann Teagarden with episode 59 of the Unveiled podcast. Thanks for joining me today. This is the last episode of the Danger Zone series, and today I want to look at taking each other for granted. How often does your husband say thank you to you? How often do you tell him thank you? It's nice to hear thank you, isn't it? I cook dinner for my family most nights, and I don't really expect anyone to say thank you for cooking. It's just what I do. However, on occasion, Grant will say thank you to me, and I find that it really means a lot. It gives me warm fuzzies and makes me feel appreciated. Now, when my teens arrive at the table and complain about what's for dinner, I feel a bit defensive. I want to say, hey, you don't like it? Cook for yourself. I don't, but that's what I feel like. It's easy to take the people around us for granted, especially if they are the type that can be counted on to do things without asking or reminding. However, I have found that an easy way to build into your marriage and to your spouse is to just say, thank you. What happens when we don't do that? So, why would I call this a danger zone? Well, resentment can build up, for one thing. It can also contribute to them feeling unloved or not valued, or you if it's the other way around. Or your spouse may become drawn to the person that does show them a lot of gratitude, and that may be a temptation to stray. It takes so little effort to show gratitude to someone. All it takes is a grateful heart attitude and a mindfulness to express it. Whenever Grant takes out the trash, I try to remember to say thank you because I really don't like taking out the trash. When he does a honeydew job that I've been wanting done, I try to really gush my appreciation. But you may ask, why should we say thank you when it's their job to do it? Because it feels good to them. Because every one of us likes to be noticed and appreciated. Because it's building into your marriage relationship. Willard Harley, the marriage expert, says it's like putting deposits in the bank. When we say thank you for doing something, they are more likely to do it again. Think about how we feel when our spouses, coworkers, or friends say thank you for something that we've done. It makes us more motivated to serve them again in the future. So this can work to encourage a change that you'd like to see in your spouse. Let's say your husband leaves his socks on the floor. Well, rather than nagging him about it, simply thank him whenever he does pick them up. Let him know you really appreciate it. Not in a manipulative sort of way, just genuine gratitude that he picked up his socks. And this may or may not motivate more of the same. In Philippians, we are told how God's chosen people should act because we are dearly loved. It talks about having compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, forgiving one another and bearing with one another. And then it goes on to say in verse 15, let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace, and be thankful. I don't think that's an afterthought at the end. I think it's more like an end cap. It wraps it all up. Philippians 2:3-4 says, do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility of mind, regard one another as more important than yourselves. Do not merely look out for your own personal interest, but also for the interest of others. When we take people for granted, we not only forget to thank them and show gratitude, but we may stop doing other loving things as well. So, what are some things we can do to not take our spouse for granted and we can veer away from this danger zone? Well, here are some practical things that you can do right away to bless your husband. You can thank him when he does something for you or the family. If he's your main source of income, you can thank him for going to work every day to provide for your family. You can serve him. You can prioritize his needs. You can treat him as a cherished lover, not just a person to vent at the end of the day. You can treat him with kindness and respect. You can do little things to surprise him, like make him coffee or his favorite dessert. You can offer to do his favorite activity with him, buy him his favorite candy bar. Think about his love language. In other words, what makes him feel most loved, and do things that line up with that. If you think about it, our spouses really don't owe us anything. If we choose to serve them out of love, expecting nothing in return, then we'll be more grateful when they do serve us and less likely to take them for granted. Ideally, each partner should be giving 100% to the other. And if that's not happening in your relationship, well, be the first person to get the ball rolling in the right direction. This week, I encourage you to ponder whether or not you are taking your husband for granted. It's so easy to do. Count how many times you say thank you to him each day. If this is lacking, start trying to say thank you for something once per day. Maybe write yourself a sticky note as a reminder. Focus on doing some of the things that I mentioned earlier and see how your husband responds. You may think you want something if you haven't done these things lately, but just reassure him that you're doing it out of love. With Christmas right around the corner, it's good to remember that gift giving at Christmas, birthdays, anniversaries, those are great ways to show your spouse that you care, that you appreciate him, and that he is cherished. You may be wondering, yeah, well, what about me? Shouldn't he be thanking me too? Yes, of course, but you can't make him. However, you can start showing gratitude to him, and he may begin returning that eventually. After all, what goes around comes around, or in other words, we reap what we sow. If we plant gratitude, it will grow. So if we plant taking people for granted, then that will grow too. It's really up to you because we can only change ourselves. So have a wonderful week. Go and tell your husband how much you appreciate him. Make his day. Make his favorite meal or dessert. If this episode was eye-opening, please share it with friends. I appreciate your help in getting the word out. And doing a review of it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen also helps. Remember, you are loved, you are beautiful, and you are enough in Christ. Go enjoy.